this edition of Believers Talk. You know, we're going to get this thing started the right way here in a second. Want to make sure everything is up and running. I always enjoy talking to you guys, bringing you a special live edition. Was unable to join you guys this past Thursday. Let's go live now and let's talk about the most recent acquisition in the AFC East. Guys, you know how we do this. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe and welcome to this breaking news, not even breaking news anymore. AFC East news edition of Believers Talk. My name is Joe. Again, if you're new to this channel, guys, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment. You know how these live streams go, guys. I rely on your comments to keep me plugging along. We know what we think about Cam Newton, right? As I said when I tweeted this out, that I was going live tonight, as I said when I put this on YouTube, listen, we've been hearing from the national media about how great this move is by New England, and oh my goodness, can you believe it? And wow, New England is just that unbeatable again. You've heard from Buffalo media, right? Whether it be, the real Buffalo media, the YouTubers, whatever you want to talk about, saying, hey, you know what? Let's calm down a little bit. Buffalo has nothing to worry about. But do you know who I want to hear from? I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from Bills Mafia. You're what make this team run. You're what make these channels run. You bring us energy. And so I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think. I have some stats that I haven't heard anyone talk about. I'm not saying they haven't. I haven't been able to check all the YouTube videos. I haven't been able to check everything going on in the Buffalo media. I know the national media won't talk about it because it might reflect negatively on Cam Newton, and we all know they don't want that. I know the chat's already going crazy, so let me get you guys. If you say something that I missed, make sure you hit that super chat button. Everything donated through that feature will go right back into this channel, so I really do appreciate it. And go back up to the top where my man King Cam, first one in here, says, Joe, how you doing? Anthony comes in, good to see you. Karen Williams, always glad to have you on the stream. Not worried about Cam. It was Cam for a few years. If it was Cam from a few years ago, then maybe Geek Squad's in the house. How you doing, Rick Rourke? I am not worried. I am not even sure Cam fits their system. King Cam, last time we played Cam, he was very inaccurate. We're going to talk about some of the stats about Cam Newton. Buff Hub comes in. Glad to see you in here. Guys, if you haven't already seen it, myself, Dan Mitchell, and Buff Hub, we were live streaming over there. Or not live streaming, I mean, whatever you call it. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. A podcast. He runs a podcast over on Buff Hub. Steve from over on Buff Hub does a great job. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Looking for a good podcast, that is the way to go. I'm actually more scared of the Patriots defense, and we should be. Daniel Garies comes in and says, hey, good to see you. Once that Cam is broken, we're going to talk about his injury history here as well. Cam Newton was 0-8 in his last 8 starts. Good stat there by Anthony. So let's talk about Cam Newton. Let's talk about what he brings to the Patriots. Guys, let's not paint this as a terrible move by the New England Patriots, but a move that maybe wasn't 100% predictable, but at the same time isn't far-fetched, right? You look at the New England Patriots quarterback situation, and you realize, you know what, they needed to get something. They needed to get something. They have Jarrett Stidham in there. He's projected to be the starter, and some say he has to beat out Jarrett Stidham, and it's very possible. Jarrett Stidham has sat behind Tom Brady for a year now. He gets the system, right? A system that Bill Belichick preaches, Josh McDaniels preaches, and he fits more of a Tom Brady type system. Cam Newton doesn't necessarily fit that system unless he's willing to learn a whole new approach to the game, which I don't know if Cam Newton's willing to do. I just don't. This offseason, the New England Patriots signed Brian Hoyer. So you're talking about a quarterback room that was Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer, and Jamar Smith. Okay, who's Jamar Smith? I don't know. Do you know who Jamar Smith is? I don't know who Jamar Smith is. So that was your quarterback room. So are we shocked they made a move? Cam Newton's sitting there. We know that he's going to come cheap, right? We know he's going to come cheap because he's been sitting there forever. Is it a surprise? No, not exactly. Not exactly shocking the world that the New England Patriots went after Cam Newton. Remember, when Cam Newton and Jameis Winston were out there, everyone was talking about, oh, shouldn't the Patriots go after one? So it's not like the biggest news in the world. Listen, I think the news that the Bills traded for Stephon Diggs is bigger than the news that the Patriots signed Cam Newton. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Buff Hub, hit that like button. Absolutely, guys. Thank you, Buff Hub. Let's not treat Cam Newton like how the media treats Josh. I still think we sweep them, but it will be a lot harder, says Geek Squad. Cam is definitely an upgrade at quarterback for New England. That's if they get a healthy Cam Newton. It was purely an intel move. Belichick is scared of becoming irrelevant. Kenneth's in the house. Good to see you in here. I'm not worried about Cam. He's great, no doubt, but he's no Tom Brady. Listen, when Buffalo Bills fans, we were out there when he first got cut by the New England Patriots, or by the Carolina Panthers. Some Bills fans were saying, hey, should the Bills take a look at him? Should he be considered for a backup role? And Mario from #Sports, myself, and Dan Mitchell did a collab together on #Sports, and we talked about why that would be a dumb move, right? Why we thought that would not work. And I said that wherever Cam Newton goes, he deserves a chance to be a starter somewhere, right? And that's what he's getting in New England. He's getting that chance to be a starter. Wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be mind-boggling if after all this press about Cam Newton going to the Patriots, he doesn't even start week 1? If Stidham starts week 1 over Cam Newton, how surprising would that be, considering how much the national media is pretty much on New England's nuts right now because they signed Cam Newton? Hey, Elliot, good to see you in here as well. Daniel comes in with a question. I wonder about the personal fit between Cam and Bill Belichick. That's something you have to wonder about as well. But again, guys, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Like this video. If you haven't already subscribed to Billievers Talk, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we keep you up to date on all things Buffalo Bills and news surrounding the Buffalo Bills, including obviously the signing of Cam Newton to the New England Patriots. So I wanted to talk about something that I saw #sport. Well, I think I was in the middle of a point before when we talked about not having Cam Newton come in as backup because we knew Josh Allen was our starter. And I've seen a tweet or two out there saying, oh, if Cam Newton wins the Super Bowl with New England, I'll be mad that Buffalo didn't give him a shot. Listen, Buffalo didn't need to give him a shot. Is Cam Newton better than Jake Fromm? Yes. But does that mean Cam Newton is a backup quarterback? No. What could, and I know coming into this league, a lot of people compare Josh Allen to Cam Newton. We don't want that for our quarterback. No offense to Cam Newton. Excellent player. He won MVP in 2015. There's a reason for that, but there's also a reason why he's never won a Super Bowl. Okay? There's also a reason why when you take a look at his injury chart, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger year after year because he constantly takes risks. And Josh Allen takes risks, but our head coach, our coaching staff, our backup quarterback, we want guys who try to teach him how not to take risks. However, funny story, when Cam Newton was in this league, do you know whose backup was for a long time? The same guy that backed up Josh Allen last season after Nathan Peterman and everyone got injured. So you know who that is. So we can leave that where it is, right? We can leave that where it is. So obviously they had the same backup at some point, but we're just talking about how we do not want Cam Newton to make those, or we don't want Josh Allen to make the same mistakes Cam Newton made. When it comes to the year 2025, we don't want to look at an injury report that takes up a whole page of paper. We just don't. His injury report's actually on that side. Still, we don't want to see that happening. Let's be honest, the Patriots is a better situation than the Panthers. Is it possible for him to get better? Cam Newton to get better? If Cam Newton gets better than what we saw in 2015, the league might be in trouble. The AFC might be in trouble. But I think after 10 years in the NFL, we've seen all that Cam has to give. And that's not a knock on Cam. Again, so far, a pretty good NFL career. NFL MVP in 2015, led his team to the Super Bowl where they lost to the Denver Broncos. Not a bad career so far. Can this New England Patriots team make it to the playoffs? Absolutely. Can this Patriots team make it possibly to a Super Bowl? Absolutely. Should they be the favorites by Vegas in the AFC East? I think Bills fans are going to be mad at me. Yes. Because we always talk about how you can't knock out the Patriots, right? You can't knock on the Patriots a lot of people will say, I won't pick against them until someone proves they can beat them, right? And that's why, to me, and even more so now, that Week 8 matchup against the Patriots is the biggest matchup of the year for the Buffalo Bills, or at least the one I'm looking forward to the most. Obviously, every week matters, but that first game against the Patriots, Man, I want the Bills to come out strong. And I told some friends yesterday, right? I was at a friend's house yesterday. I said, you know what? I am so excited about this Cam Newton signing. I'll tell you why in a second. Let me get to some of the comments. Joe Nelson's in the house. Welcome, Joe. Glad that you are in here. There will be a running team with the Patriots. Yeah, absolutely. Even with Cam Newton, even if Cam Newton's the starter, they will be a run-first team. You look at that wide receiver core again. N'Keal Harry, you're hoping if you're a Patriots fan, he's there all year round. You hope that maybe you can get some elements still. There are some players, some pieces there that you hope you get some out. Some young tight ends you hope step up. Not going to be nearly as good as Gronk was, but you hope they step up a little bit, especially now that you have a scrambling QB who you hope can have some checkdowns to those tight ends, right? So there are definitely some places you can go with the ball if you're Cam Newton, but will that fit? Screw Belichick, says Chino Buddy. Good to see you in here as well. Let me get to some more of your comments. I just figured they signed Cam to push Stidham. Very possible. If they don't re-sign Cam, look at the one-year deal for Cam Newton. Very incentive-based, right? So they don't even have to start Cam Newton, right? There's no pressure on the Patriots to start Cam Newton, to play Cam Newton even if they don't feel he is ready. Because remember, guys, I think we can all agree training camp's going to be a little bit different this year due to the pandemic than in years past. Preseason, we already know they canceled the Hall of Fame game. They're talking about bringing preseason down to 2 games, which everyone's excited about because we've always hated the preseason. However, how will that affect Cam Newton learning this offense? Those are all things that have to be considered here. Does Stidham still get the start this season? And if he struggles, then does it go to Cam Newton? Cam Newton's going to have to earn it, right? You can hate Belichick if you want. One thing you have to say about him is he's a veteran head coach, and he's going to make players earn it, right? That's where Coach McDermott learned it. You're going to make players earn that spot on the field. And so Cam Newton's not just come in here and get the playbook handed to him and say, hey, here's your starter 1, right? No, he's going to have to earn it from Stidham, who was behind Tom Brady last year, may have something himself to prove with this system. Kenneth Osborne comes in. No way the Patriots are a favorite for the Super Bowl. They have more holes than the Dolphins do. I think from a Vegas standpoint, it makes sense to make the Patriots the favorite. Because again, until someone proves they can beat them after 20 years of dominance, until someone proves they can beat Bill Belichick, then you have to say, hey, they're the favorites. Obviously, the Bills are nipping at their heels. My money's on the Bills winning this division, but still, if you're a Vegas guy, you are a Vegas betting casino, you have to say, give it to the Patriots, but give the Bills pretty good odds too with the team that they have built. Buffalo offense still better. I 100% agree with you, Joe Nelson. I wonder how Patriots offense changes. Well, so here's the thing, and this is one thing I want to talk about, but let's go back to my first point about why this is good for the Buffalo Bills. Why the New England Patriots signing Cam Newton is great if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. And so right now, a week ago, everyone, if you talk about the AFC East, everyone talks about how the Bills are coming up, right? The Bills are coming up. The Bills should be favored. You heard that from multiple media sources that the Bills should be the favorite to win the AFC East. Now, there are still some holding on to the Patriots and saying, hey, until you beat them, until you prove you can beat them, I'm going to pick them. But now, what you have going all over the world, right? All over sports media. And listen, it's because there's nothing else to talk about. I get that, right? There's nothing else to talk about, so every single thing that happens is under a microscope, and it's going to be blown up to pieces, right? It's going to be blown up that, hey, look, the Patriots did this team did this, yada. Oliver got a DUI with a gun in his car in Texas. And it was big news, right? It was huge news. What have we heard about that since? Not much. Now, his hearing's in August, so we know we weren't going to hear much until then. But again, everything's going to be amplified because nothing is going on. So, but if you're a Bills fan, you got to love this because we're no longer the favorites. We now have something to prove, right? Not saying we didn't have something to prove before, but we've seen it happen before with other teams. Now with the Bills, a young startup team makes the playoffs. They feel like they're there, and then they have a letdown season, right? They're on the brink. They're favored to win the division. They're favored to be back in the playoffs, and then they have a letdown. Now there's no room for a letdown, right? Now it's like, oh, everyone still thinks New England's the best. Everyone has New England over the Buffalo Bills. Everyone thinks that New England's back just because they have a 10-year vet on their team who hasn't had a full healthy season since 2015, 2016, maybe 2017, I don't know. But still hasn't had a healthy season in a long time. Long time. And his track record, hey, Buffalo Bills fan, good to see you in here. Geek Squad, hit that like button. Absolutely, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you all joining me. Make sure, if you haven't already subscribed to Believers Talk, hit that subscribe button. I'm here for you guys. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section who's filling in for Oliver at Ask Chino. Right now, we don't even know if he's suspended. Right? We don't even know if he's suspended. So if he's suspended for 2 games, then we talk about some of the fill-ins, right? We have Harrison Phillips coming back. You have what am I trying to say? Jefferson, right? He comes in. That whole defensive line changes when you have, and we talked about on Buff Hub when I was on there for the podcast. So make sure you check that out. The whole defensive line changes compared to if Ed Oliver's in or Ed Oliver's not in. Not just the DLs, but the defensive ends. How much depth do we put defensive end? Do we make the defensive end position a little bit lighter to fill in that defensive tackle role and maybe bring in 5 defensive tackles and 4 DNs instead of vice versa? We'll see what happens there. But we have to wait till August to see what the legal penalty is, and then hopefully shortly after that, the NFL comes down with any penalty. But there were 4 or 5 players who got in trouble right in a row. We haven't heard anything from any of them from the league. Now, there's a lot going on in the league right now, so you can understand, you know, they're waiting to see what happens in the court system, but we haven't heard anything yet. So hopefully we're all still correct that Ed Oliver doesn't miss any more than 2 games. But if he does miss 2 games or more, obviously the Bills work on a rotating system. So bringing Harrison Phillips back obviously is going to help. Unfortunately, I think the Bills' plan for Harrison Phillips was to gradually bring him in. He might be forced in a little bit more than they wanted to in the beginning. But hey, learn on the fly, right? So we'll see what happens there. She says, thanks for the info. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. DUI in Texas. Yeah, that's exactly. He had a DUI. He was caught with possession of a weapon in his car, a gun that some people are saying he got a citation for that just because he was under the influence. And anytime you have a gun in your vehicle while under the influence, it's illegally possessing a firearm, which makes sense to me. You don't want someone possessing a firearm while he's intoxicated. That just seems like a recipe for disaster. So, but going back to this Cam Newton things, Bill's going to take this division. No Cam, can be damned. Hey, yeah, absolutely. I still think the Buffalo Bills have the front spot to win this division. I actually want to thank Las Vegas for giving me better odds. Thank you for giving me more money. I really appreciate that. I'll be betting more now. The Bills, I believe, are plus 1,300 to win the AFC straight up and be the AFC representative for the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'm taking that. I'm taking it. Why not? This team is a young start team with veteran guys at the right positions to get the job done. I think the Bills have what it takes to get to the AFC Championship game, and all it takes is a couple things going away in the AFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl, and I think they can do just what they need to do to get that done, and at plus 1,300, I'm taking it, so I appreciate that. We were very close to taking down the Patriots with Brady last year, absolutely, with that historic defense, and think about that, the historic defense that the Patriots had last year lost some pieces. This offseason. The Patriots still have cap trouble. They can't sign all these players. I saw a rumor or a thought like Odell Beckham was asked about joining Cam Newton in New England. I don't know if Odell Beckham would go because I don't think they have the cap space to give him the money that he would seek. So we'll see. Las Vegas has us at 9 wins. I'm betting the over, says Elliot. I'm again, last year it worked out for me. I'm sure it's going to work out great for me this year as well. If you illegally possess a firearm in New York State, it's 5 years. So luckily it was in Texas. Yes, absolutely. Bills in Vegas in October. I just hope that fans are able to go at that time. I don't think they're going to be, by week 4, I don't think they're going to be able to have fans in the stands. Now we see what NASCAR is doing. And guys, I've said this on plenty of occasions. I'll say it again. I don't care if you only love football. Football is my first love when it comes to sports. Hockey second. NASCAR is down at like 50th. But when you're talking about everything going on with this pandemic, you have to watch what other sports are doing and hoping that it works out, right? Hoping that it goes with as few hitches as possible. I hope that NBA can finish their season. I hope that the NHL can finish their season. I hope that baseball gets something going. right? But luckily for us, if baseball doesn't get anything going, it's because of the greedy owners and players and not because of the pandemic. So we'll see what happens there. Pats lost their offensive line coach too. Yeah, and I think like every year they had that offensive line coach were the years they won the Super Bowl, and every year they didn't have him, they lost. So that's a very significant part to that as well, Elliot. So good point. I'm going to be in Vegas for that game. Hey, if you're in Vegas for that game, I'm sure somewhere you can have a good time. Vegas Strip opened back up just recently, some of the casinos. So hopefully by October, there's a little bit more buzz in the air. I know here we just went green. We allowed, I think 250 is the max now as far as patrons in a place. So that opens up to more things happening. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, we're not sure at all. The weather is very nice in Vegas in October. So there are a couple things I wanted to talk about on here before I go completely nuts and lose my mind, which if you've been here before, you know it can happen at any point. But everyone's talking about, I saw hashtag sports tweet this out, and I saw Dan Mitchell from the Down Mafia tweet this out about how if there's anyone who could beat Cam Newton, it's going to be the guy that was the defensive coordinator when Cam Newton was the starter in Carolina. And that, of course, is our coach, Coach McDermott. And it's a great point. It's a great point that Coach McDermott's going to know Cam Newton's game, right? He's going to know Cam Newton's game, and he's going to be able to give tidbits to the guy who runs our defense, right? This is not a Sean McDermott defense. This is a Leslie Frazier defense with Coach McDermott wrinkles inside of it, right? And so you don't just want to look at how Coach McDermott would handle Cam Newton. How has Leslie Frazier handled Cam Newton in the past? I'm not sure if anyone's talked about this yet. So I did some digging. Has Cam Newton ever played against a Leslie Frazier coached team? And if so, how did he do? Buffalo Bills fans can say, I'm not 21, so Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, here I come. There you go. Hey, go Pawn Stars, right? See if you can see, I don't even remember the people's name on that anymore, but yeah, I know it's there. So have fun at that. They have the mob museum there too. That's a lot of fun. Check that out. But it wasn't illegal. He just got in trouble because he had it while drunk. Yes, correct. That's what I've heard too. I'm going to get to Miami for the Bills game, says Elliot. I hope they allow fans in the stands. There's only 2 games I care about next year. That's the Chiefs and the 49ers. I care about all 16 because I want us to win all 16. And I think we have the capabilities of winning 16. That's not me all 16. That's not me saying we can go 16-0. I don't think that's quite on the table. But I believe that there's not a single game on our schedule that I look at and say that's a definite loss. New England on Monday, or New England, San Fran on Monday night, KC on Thursday night. I think we can win all these games. Go to Fremont Street, way easier to drink down there and cheaper, says Elliot. Love Fremont Street. Do you think the opposing teams like the Patriots listen in on our headsets to know our plays? I think Allen should call plays on the fly without a headset. Well, we all have heard about the headsets going out in New England, right? That's been a constant problem throughout the years. Something that Mangini brought attention to, something that Rex Ryan brought attention to. So we've seen it happen in the past. We saw Mike Tomlin bring attention to it. That's only in New England, right? Of course, it's only in New England. Obviously, the Bills are not going to allow teams to hear the play calling in Buffalo on their headsets, right? So I'm not worried about those 8 games. When we talk about away teams, listen, if one team's doing it, more than likely other teams are doing it and just not getting caught. So hopefully it's not happening as much as it appears to be happening in the league. Again, New England's the only team that's gotten caught with it. I believe when the guy that we're about to talk about, Josh McDaniels, was the coach of the Broncos, they were involved in some shady stuff that pretty much led to his firing. So we're going to talk about Josh McDaniels a little bit. But first, like I said, I want to talk about Buffalo Bills fan 2717 says, I'm not even 18. Well, still, hey, listen, you can still have a good time. Just don't wish you're older, because here I am. I was wishing I was older when I was your age, and now I'm old, and I'm like, I wish I was a little bit younger. Now, yeah, I wish I was like in my early 20s again, but hey, there's some advantages to being older too. There's some, but it's okay. It's okay. Elliot Esler, we'll have fun anyway. Yes. Oh, well, have fun anyways. Yes, have fun anyways. It doesn't matter your age. You can always have a good time. But so let's talk about Leslie Frazier versus Cam Newton, right? Because that's what's important here. Because, again, this is a Leslie Frazier-led defense. So we look at the matchups, they've actually played against each other 4 times in Cam Newton's NFL career. Okay, twice while Leslie Frazier was the head coach in Minnesota, and twice while he was a defensive coordinator. One time as the defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and another time as the defensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. So we'll take a look at that matchup. Most of you will remember that matchup. It was just 2 years ago. But first, let's look back at Cam Newton's first 2 times he played Leslie Frazier. Now, again, Leslie Frazier was the head coach of this team, so his thumbprint on the defense was probably like Coach McDermott's thumbprint on the current defense. He's heavily involved, but it's still the defensive coordinator's job to get that defense ready for game day. But we got to look at all the stats. So in 2011, Cam Newton's rookie year, Leslie Frazier was the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. They played against each other, and these are pretty good stats for Cam Newton. Went 22 for 35, almost 63% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 290 yards. Was sacked 3 times, lost 25 yards on those sacks, had 6 rush attempts for 53 yards. Makes Cam look pretty good. In fact, that was his second highest QB rated game his rookie year. Then you go to 2013, plays Minnesota again. Leslie Frazier, his last season as the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Week 6, 20 for 26, 242 yards. That's 77% completion percentage. Again, 3 touchdowns in that time and no interceptions. Only sacked once for a 6-yard loss and 9 rushes for 30 yards and a touchdown. So he was part of 4 touchdowns in that game. So not a good start for Leslie Frazier versus Cam Newton. You got to give that 2-0 to Cam Newton. The next time they would play against each other, Cam Newton's MVP season 2015, the Carolina Panthers go 15-1. So you got to think Cam Newton was going off this whole season. Well, if there was one game that he had trouble, one game that he struggled, it was the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just listen to the stats. Now, the Panthers still won this game because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense was horrendous. But listen to these stats. 11 for 22. 50% completion percentage. 124 yards. They held him to 124 passing yards. 51 rushing yards. Under 200 total yards. Not exactly MVP-esque in a season where they go 15-1, in a season where they have a lot of great offensive talent surrounding Cam Newton. They have a good offensive line. Was sacked twice in that game for 13 yards. He did have 2 passing touchdowns, but only 124 yards passing. Good job by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good job by Leslie Frazier. I actually give that one to Leslie Frazier. And then 2017. The most recent time that Cam Newton went against Leslie Frazier was against when Leslie Frazier was defensive coordinator of our Buffalo Bills. Anyone who joins that organization is a huge question mark as a human being. We talk about Carolina, we talk about Cleveland, we talk about the New Jersey Jets. There's a lot of teams that the Washington team in Washington, any of those teams. But let's talk about the 2017 game where the Buffalo Bills, Leslie Frazier defensive coordinated team, went up against Cam Newton. In this game, Cam Newton actually gets hurt. In this game, he sacked 6 times for a total of 50 yards lost. He went 20 for 32. Sounds pretty good. 62.5% completion percentage. Only 228 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. This was a great game for the Buffalo Bills defense. I remember watching this game. I remember live streaming this game right here on Billievers Talk. So again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, guys, make sure you subscribe. But again, he's injured in this game when Jerry Hughes and a few else convert on him on a sack. He's able to come back into this game, but that's just one of the many times where Cam Newton gets injured since 2017. I know this off topic. I was just watching something on Twitter, and we need the white faces. I mean, again, people on Twitter, on YouTube, all those social media networks, on Instagram. Follow me on all those, by the way, at Billievers Talk, just so you know. Quick plug there. But I know they always play around with the Bills uniforms. I'm not about that. I'm not about uniforms. I'm not about all these electronic gaming systems. I'm not about fantasy stats. I'm about my team winning. That's all I'm about. All I'm about is my team winning. They could look however you want them to look. I love the old school helmets. I love these guys. I think they're great. I love the alternates. But I just want to win. All I want to do is win. I don't care how ugly you look when you do it. Listen, when the Buffalo Sabres were winning with their little, whatever you call it, that yellow, some people make fun of it, said it looked like Donald Trump's hair, the slug, or whatever it was, I didn't care. The Sabres were winning. That's all I cared about. So it could be ugly, it could be beautiful. Winning is all that matters. That's it. That's it. That's why if you tell me that Josh Allen completes 58% of his passes again this season and the Bills go 13-3, win the division, make it to the AFC Championship game, I'm going to say, okay, that happened. That happened, Josh Allen for president. If you can't wait to see our defense smash Cam Newton, smash that like button, because let me go into the history of Cam Newton versus our Buffalo Bills. Cam Newton's gone up against our Buffalo Bills 2 times, and it hasn't fared well for Cam Newton. We just talked about the one time in 2017, but he also played them his 3rd year in the league. 2013, he goes up against the Buffalo Bills. Both games were week 2, surprisingly. Week 2, 2013 season, goes 21 for 38, 55% completion percentage, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception, sacked 6 times, and that's a theme. 6 times for 46 yards, had a rough day then. Again, in 2017, sacked 6 times by the Bills defense. Again, does not have a history of playing well against the Buffalo Bills, and that's going to continue if he's the starter in New England. So we want to talk about that. We also want to talk about move over terrible towels. We get musky masks. I don't want people throwing face masks at the stadium though. What are you gonna do? Twirl around face masks? That's gonna hurt somebody. You don't want these people getting hurt. That's all I'm saying. Joe is fired up, pounding the table for the Bills. I'm pounding the table. You guys pound that like button. So again, let's talk about Cam Newton's injury history. Well documented. So it starts out when he was in Florida, and in Florida he suffered a sprained ankle in 2008. I got all this stuff from Buffalo Rumblings, guys. So if you haven't followed Buffalo Rumblings, great website over there, and they do some pretty good work over there as well. So make sure you check them out. Drafted in 2011. Here are the list of injuries since 2011. In 2012, he sprained his left ankle in the season finale. 2014, he had off-season surgery on said left ankle. Hairline fracture in the ribs and 2 fractures in his lower back. Now, they weren't serious fractures. However, they were fractures on your back nonetheless. So 3 injuries in 2014 alone. 2016, he suffers a concussion. In 2017, he strains the left knee. You notice a history with this left leg in general. Straining the left knee, spraining the left ankle, surgery on the left ankle in the offseason. The left ankle's had some problems. The left leg in general has had some problems. Elliott comes in. Josh Allen hinted at a Bills Mafia-inspired TD celebration this year during an interview with Tony Romo. Will we see a table in the end zone this year? Maybe he'll find his girlfriend in the stands and powerbomb her through a table. I don't know. But it will be interesting to see. Maybe he's talking about pulling some buffalo wings out of his pocket or something, eating those on the field, finding a cheerleader with some, or a fan maybe with some beer and wings, and eating them. Maybe go back to T.O.'s popcorn eating days. Has he made a Pro Bowl? We talk about Cam Newton. Cam Newton has made a couple Pro Bowls in his career. I think he's actually a 3-time Pro Bowler. That season that he went 15-1, he was the league MVP. He was elected to the Pro Bowl. Obviously, he was in the Super Bowl that year, so he did not go into the go to the Pro Bowl because he was in the Super Bowl. But still, he has made the Pro Bowl a few times. I'm trying to pull it up here now for you since you asked. I'm sure someone can get to it before I do. But yes, he has been to the Pro Bowl a few times in his NFL career. Here we go. Selected to the Pro Bowl in 2011, 2013, and 2015. So 3 times. Did I say 3? Look at me go. Look at me go. I'm pretty smart. Carolina always ran him too much. Now he's paying the price. And see, that's why we didn't want him backing up Josh Allen. Again, we didn't want that mindset for Josh Allen. Say, yeah, you can run, you can take hits, because he can't. It doesn't matter how big you are in this league. In 2018, I did a video on the quarterbacks coming out in that draft. Obviously, we got Josh Allen in that draft, so I did a video on the quarterbacks, and I compared the 5 leading all-time rushing quarterbacks at that time to Super Bowl wins. And the only guy on that list to have Super Bowl wins, he was the fifth in history at that time on the NFL all-time rushing list for quarterbacks, was Steve Young with 2 Super Bowls. Right? That's the only guy. You talk about Michael Vick. You talk about Randall Cunningham. You talk about Cam Newton. You talk about all these guys that ran the ball or run the ball well. No Super Bowls. And again, to me, it's all about winning. That's all that matters. That's all I care about. That's all you should care about as well. Top 5 fantasy quarterback, in my opinion, talking about Josh Allen, comes in with Elliott Essler, especially when you talk about the addition of Stephon Diggs. Can definitely add some elements there. No one talks about his ability to run the ball into the end zone, right? 9 rushing touchdowns for Josh Allen last season. He's a fantasy stud if you play fantasy football. But I do want to talk more about these injuries. Again, suffered a concussion in 2016. 2017, strained left knee. Again, that left knee, left leg becoming a problem. 2018, left shoulder injury, has surgery on his rotator cuff in January of 2019. Seems like a shoulder injury to a quarterback's a big deal. And then in 2019, he has a Lisfranc fracture on his foot. Pretty bad fracture. As someone I know from where I work had the fracture, was out for about 4 months. And the same with Cam Newton. They didn't think it was that bad at first, but then after 2 games, they sat him down for the rest of the season. So entering his 10th season, he has a long list of injuries. Now, hopefully for the Patriots' sake, he is healthy, but we just don't know. We just don't know what's going to happen. Daniel comes in. I never want Cam in Buffalo. He would be a terrible backup. He'd be sulking on the sidelines. Yeah, how many times have we seen that, right? How many times have we seen Cam Newton sulk on the sidelines? How many times have we seen him sulk in press conferences? How's that going to fit with Bill Belichick? How's it going to fit with Bill Belichick when Cam Newton comes in and a young lady reporter asks him about routes and he goes, it's funny hearing a woman talk about routes. Wake up! Wake up! And that was just 3-4 years ago. It's not like that was him as a rookie. Right? And I'm not saying, he deserves to be fired from the league or anything for saying that. Just not the greatest when it comes to talking to the press. Maybe he needs to take a Marshawn Lynch approach and say, I'm done talking to the press. Maybe that's the best part. Maybe that's the best thing for him going to New England. He'll talk to Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick will be like, don't talk to the press. Don't ever talk to the press. Nothing good comes from talking to the press. And that's one time I have to agree with Bill Belichick. A lot of people hate Bill Belichick for his post-game press conferences, especially after a loss. I think they're great. That's exactly what I want my coach to say every single time. I don't need my coach getting overexcited during a post-game press conference. I don't need my coach saying he disliked the refs, or disliked this, or disliked that. I just need my coach to say, hey, if we lost, we need to play harder. If we win, hey, it's on the next week. Either way, it's always the same. And I like that personally about Bill Belichick. People are for real overrating the Pats so much. Cam barely top 15. Let the press completely overrate the New England Patriots. Come on, yay, New England, 16-0. Here we come. Man, they're better than when they had Randy Moss and Tom Brady on that team. Woohoo! Let them do it. And let the Bills prove them wrong. Buffalo versus everybody. We've heard that before, and I'm telling you right now, we're going to make it happen. Marshawn Lynch mode. Cam really lacks maturity, says Daniel. Hopefully that's something he grows on. But it seems like, after 10 years in the league, it seems like you got what you got. You know what I mean? Not saying people can't change, but after a few times, it kind of becomes redundant, and you kind of see what you have. There's one more point that I personally want to bring up in this live stream that I'm not sure if it's been mentioned other places. Buffalo, we need solid production on the running game against New England. Once that's in check, we will feast defensively. Listen, everyone's talking about New England's defense right now. The Bills' defense was pretty damn good last year. Pretty good last year, finishing in the top 3. I think we need to show some respect to that Buffalo Bills defense. And they didn't lose as many pieces. What did we lose? Lorenzo Alexander? I'm not saying that's not a big loss, but I'm saying that is less impactful to the Bills than Mayo is for the Patriots. If you look at what the Patriots lost that defense compared to what the Bills lost on defense, Patriots have lost a little bit more this offseason. So we'll be all right. We'll be all right. But what I want to talk about, Good Point Buff Hub, again, check out his podcast if you haven't already. Yours truly has been on there recently. Have a great time every time we're on there. Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Listen, everyone loves Josh McDaniels, right? What a great job he's done in New England with Tom Brady as his quarterback. With Tom Brady as his quarterback. Listen, everyone calls Bruce Arians a QB guru. When Bruce Arians started, it was with Peyton Manning. Okay? Bruce Arians had to go help out some other quarterbacks in other places, which he did, and he did well before he was named a QB guru. Do you know why? Because with some quarterbacks, it doesn't matter how good of an offensive coordinator you are, they're going to make up for it. Tom Brady, whether we like it or not, one of those guys. One of those guys. Let's take a look at some other offensive coordinators that were their offensive coordinators in New England during the time of Tom Brady. One in particular. Anyone remember the name Charlie Weis? Charlie Weis was the offensive coordinator in New England. How did he do as the head coach of Notre Dame? Did anyone hear of him after that? No. Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator in New England, back in 2010, doing a great job with Tom Brady. Goes to Denver to be their head coach. Man, head coach of the Denver Broncos, bring that team around, right? Do something with them. What did Josh McDaniels do with Denver? Did he have a quarterback? Well, he had Kyle Orton. And then, of course, the following season was the first season of Tim Tebow. How'd they do? 4-12, I believe they went in 2011. 4-12. They were doing so bad, he tried to cheat and they lost. He couldn't. The NFL found out about it. He tried to do the same things he was doing in New England and not getting caught for. He did them in Denver, got caught, got fired. How does that happen? It's okay in New England, but it's not okay in Denver. Way to look the other eye, NFL. Good job. Look the other way, NFL. Good job. But don't let the Denver Broncos do it. No. Be bad. All right, so he didn't do well with Kyle Orton. Let's be honest, Kyle Orton came to Buffalo. You know, you could do better, right? You could do better. In 2012, he goes to the Rams. He has Sam Bradford as his quarterback. Now, Sam Bradford, at times, was a good quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, exactly. Daniel says McDaniels was the head coach of Denver when they drafted Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow, who the Denver Broncos won a game with him throwing like 30-some yards of total passing yards in the game. And Denver still won that game that year. I think it was after Josh McDaniels was gone. But that defense carried that team. Anyway, goes to St. Louis, and he gets Sam Bradford. Now again, Sam Bradford, decent quarterback at times in his career. Sam Bradford plays 10 games. They go to A.J. Feely. He plays a few games. They go to Kellen Clemens. He plays, I think he starts 3 games. Overall, all 3 quarterbacks, completion percentage, 53%. 53%! We're mad at Josh Allen for throwing 58.8. He's on 53. He's no quarterback guru. He's a lucky benefactor of Tom Brady. That's what he is. Until he proves otherwise, he's a lucky benefactor of Tom Brady. That's it. And that's okay. Listen, you can be the offensive coordinator in New England and do well. And that's why he went back there after 2012. He said, wait, trying to coach up a QB is actually hard unless you have Tom Brady. That's why he didn't go to Indianapolis. Even though at that time they had Andrew Luck. His success is with Tom Brady. Why would you leave that? Well, now he was forced to. And out of these guys, Tom Brady, Kyle Orton, Sam Bradford, not a single one of them possesses the same tools to be a quarterback in the league as Cam Newton does. He's never drawn up a playbook for a quarterback like Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a very skilled quarterback. I'm not saying he's not. But you look at Tom Brady, pocket passer. You look at Kyle Orton, pocket passer. You look at Sam Bradford, pocket passer. Some of Cam Newton's best work, especially early on, was when he was scrambling out of the pocket. Not running the ball. His accuracy while on the run was what made him an X factor. And for most good mobile quarterbacks, that's what it is. Your ability to throw downfield on the run. Look at Patrick Mahomes. You look at Cam Newton. You look at what Bills fans say Josh Allen needs to improve on the most is his down the field accuracy. Can Josh McDaniels do it? I don't know. Anyhow, I see you guys having a great time in the comment section. Again, I appreciate you guys leaving the comments. I appreciate you guys joining me. Again, tell me what you think. If you haven't already hit that like button, hit that like button. Should the Bills be worried about New England with Cam Newton? I do think this makes New England a better team. But I think this makes New England at best, 10-6 team instead of an 8-8 team. And I still see the Bills winning 11 games this season. I think at worst, the Bills split with the Patriots. And I think the Buffalo Bills still win the AFC East. But again, let me know what you think. If you're not watching this live, leave a comment below in the comment section. And again, thank you guys for joining me for this live edition of Believers Talk. Couldn't get on last Thursday. Still plan to get on live this Thursday at 9:30. Again, join me then as well. Josh Allen 17 on the run equals on fire, says Elliot. Absolutely. Elliot, Geek Squad, Daniel. Again, thank you guys always for joining me. For all those who joined me, Chino Buddy, thank you. If Trump bought the Bills, he would have been like, "Make Bills great again." That's by New Era, that company. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people probably think a lot about if President Trump would have bought the Bills, probably wouldn't be in the position he was in. Thank you, Elliot. I appreciate you guys as well. Vote for Bills in Super Bowl in 4 more years. I think it's gonna be. I hope it's gonna be sooner than that, Chi. But again, I appreciate you guys coming on here and joining me on this Tuesday evening for this edition of Believers Talk. Cam Newton to the Patriots made some news, made some headlines, but it doesn't make them a threat to beat our Bills in the AFC East. Again, thank you guys for joining me on Believers Talk. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't liked this video already, hit that like button. I look forward to talking to you all soon again. Hopefully see you all Thursday. Until I do, go Bills.